Hi, my name is Leonard Slayton.
Hi.
And I'm presenting for my systematic theology, Christology, and today's subject is forgiveness. As part of the Sozo ministry, I've had the pleasure to see people get healed, saved, and delivered through forgiveness. All the tools within the ministry are very much centered around forgiveness. And today I'm going to be presenting on three major aspects of forgiveness that must be understood by everyone. The first one is the forgiving relationship with God. The second one is asking God for forgiveness. And the third one is forgiving one another. But first, why do we forgive? The important thing is that we desire forgiveness because we value relationships. We really do. And unforgiveness leads to an uneasiness in our relationships. That uneasiness can be found in our relationship with God or with one another. And the example that I want to give is in Matthew 18:21 through 35. Some of us may know it. It includes the forgiveness question that Peter asked, and then also the parable of the unforgiving servant in which Jesus replies to Peter. And so Peter asked the Lord an important question. Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? And it's really interesting. Jesus responds with an innumerable number just for one day. So God finds forgiveness very important. And so he goes on to explain the parable about the king who wanted to settle the accounts with the slave. And so the slave begs the king to have mercy on the debts that he owes. And so the king has pity and he releases his debts. And then the slave goes over to his servant and he wants him to pay the money. And the king sees the wickedness and handed him over to be tortured until he would pay his entire debt. So we see the act of what unforgiveness does. It opens a door for torturing. And that passage is also related to Luke 11:4, which it says, "And forgive us our sins, for we ourselves forgive everyone indebted to us, and do not bring us into the time of trial." If we don't forgive others' debts or sins, this leads us to be tortured. The other one is the first aspect we just spoke about, forgiving relationship with God. God has done his part of the forgiving. Forgiveness is a key feature in moving in a relationship with God. We value the relationship we have with God, and we know the relationships we have cannot be mended without forgiveness. So when Jesus gave his life on the cross, there's two important phrases he mentioned while he was on the cross. He said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what to do." And the other one was that it is finished. The forgiving of the sins was finished on the cross. In the aspect of Isaiah 53:5, it says, "But he was pierced for our transgressions, and he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed." And that's Jesus carrying the burdens of our sins and forgiving. And so Jesus has done his part, so we have to do our part in asking God for forgiveness. And this is a crucial point which led many of us to salvation. And in 1 John 1:9 it says, "If we confess our sins, he is faithful and just and will forgive us of our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness." Romans 10:9, "If you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved." And then the last aspect is forgiving one another. When we forgive, we release them from the burdens of their wrongdoing, and it removes the anger and blame we direct against other people. Colossians 3:13 says, "Bear with one another, and if anyone has a complaint against another, forgive each other, as the Lord has forgiven you, so you must also forgive." When we forgive, we are enabled to see physical healing through forgiveness, demonstrated by Jesus when he forgave the sins of the paralyzed man. And in James 5:16, It says, therefore confess your sins to one another and pray for one another so that you may be healed. Praying for forgiveness is something we should desire, whether you are offended or you offend somebody else. And in Mark 11, it says, and when you stand praying, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive them so that your Father in heaven may forgive your sins. And that concludes my presentation. It's just really important that we have forgiveness in our posture as we walk as Christians. And it just enables us to do so much more. Thank you.